My name is Anastasia Artemeva. I'm a visual artist. The focus of my research and practice has been our relationships with imprisonment. I'm interested in the dialogue that happens or is possible to happen between those inside and outside. I've been using this methodology of connecting people who normally don't interact, connecting them or encouraging their communication through art practices. Poikkeustila is a very important project to me because it is a combination of different interests that I have. It is about this place in Maunula that is called Partizaning. This project is like a layer cake of different histories and stories that are related to this specific location. Partizaning was built during First World War to protect Russian Empire from German attack from the sea. The war never came to Helsinki, so that time the trenches weren't used or they weren't needed. I like them. I'm really interested in this place also because it has been sort of built and so much energy was put into it to create these protective structures, and then a couple of years later, you know, the country completely changed. It became a different country. The project is called Poikkeustila, and in English that means like martial law, or like some kind of a state of emergency, or some kind of special time where like maybe the war is going on or something extreme is happening, and that means that everybody needs to behave maybe a little bit differently. All the people who take part in this, they are in a way in some special place in their lives. Some are in prison, some are in an old folks home, some in difficult circumstances in their lives. Contributors of the Poikkeustila project, they include men who come from open prisons around Helsinki, and they work here in the space clearing up the trenches. Other contributors have been women from nearby Helsinki. I've also interviewed alcoholics who drink wine here during the day. We have been having different kinds of activities. We had a visit from a historian, an archaeologist, to talk about the meaning of each of the trenches and each of the constructions that are here. We have been building structures from the wood that's been cut down. We have been filming the area, for instance, also using a drone, and we created this like reenactment of being soldiers and hiding in these trenches. Through these activities, we've always discussed these notions of protecting, notions of hiding, these notions of identity protection and of privacy and hiding is something that's been interesting for me also because of the sort of institutional restrictions that are placed on the participants. So the idea is that you get this audio tour and you walk around the trenches and the area on your own and listen to the history and the stories of the place.
Last night, I dreamt of these stair things, those ones down the hill. Are they stairs or what are they? Barbed wire outlined the trenches. Earth walls protected the entrance points from the enemy. The shelters were covered with wooden roofs. The plan was to use metal, but as these materials were scarce, it did not happen. The defence structures are scattered around Helsinki in 3 lines. Shelters, storage rooms and firing stations reach much deeper under the ground than you can see. On the other side of the hospital, there was a bunker for telephone communications, Now it has been demolished and filled with soil. At each station, a couple of miles apart, there was a place for from 2 to 6 cannons. Cobblestone tracks connected the cannon stations.
I'm Bernadette Wolbring, and I'm a German artist living in Sweden. So I was suggesting to do a project about the gender pension gap. It's called Reform 75/100. And the idea was to start with data on the gender pension gap. The first part I came here to work on in May, June, which is manufacturing an umbrella. And the second part is to develop a choreography with the umbrella, which we're gonna perform for the Helsinki Night of the Arts, or Maunula Night of the Arts this year. My artistic practice often starts from interest in two different fields, which I often combine, as I do in Maunula. One is my interest in gender, how masculinity and femininity are constructed. And the other interest is how one can use abstraction to be political. Women get less pension than men do for various reasons, like reasons being that the wage is different, or that housework and caretaking is something that is not like paid for in our society. Maunula is the neighborhood of Helsinki with like the most elderly people. I thought pension is really a topic of interest here in the community. I'm very much interested in visualization techniques. If you give people figures, numbers, it's very abstract. And I think if you visualize it, it becomes more clear to some people. One visualization technique, for example, that everyone knows is the pie chart. Like you have like a round shape and then you have something in another color. In the workshop, we were like inventing our own visualization techniques. So the participants of the workshop, they came up with very different ideas on visualization techniques. For example, this person, he was working with the gap, which is red, the 25% that women get less. And the idea is that you could like open an umbrella and then you would slowly have the red coming into the image. Like a lot of animals are using this. Or this participant was really heartbroken about the gender pension gap. So the red symbolizes also what women get less. Here we have an exclamation mark showing the gap. That wasn't so easy to calculate how big it has to be. When I came to Saunabari for the first meeting, Kalle, one of the people who's here quite a lot, he was asking, oh, does that mean can I also just cut out 25%? We liked his idea so much that we just made the umbrella for him because I think it shows really well how huge 25% are and how much that lets women stand in the rain in the end.
Kun mä tulin tähän projektiin mukaan, niin Bernadette selitti, mikä on niin kuin pelin henki. Ja sitten mä nopeasti piirsin vaan paperille, että joo, että tässä on niin kuin miesten osuus, että tämä vastaa 100% tämä yläosa. Sitten naisten osuus on tämä 75 tässä ja sitten 25 on tämä gäppi siinä. Ja kaikki piti leikata ensin nämä palat ja sitten ottaa tämä luuranko pois tuosta ja sitten silittää ne liimat siinä ja siinä meni 2 viikkoa.
Silloin kun suunniteltiin, että mitä tehdään, niin minulle tuli se yin-yang mieleen, että se voisi olla semmoinen hyvä tasapuolinen ja sitten siinä on se punainen rinkula, niin se niin kuin on sitten se ero, miesten ja naisten eläkeero. Niin me esiinnyttiin viime torstaina siinä lennokkinäytöksessä. Se oli ihan jännä, tuossa oltiin tuossa yhdessä pihassa, niin siinä. Sehän kuvattiin siinä lennokilla se koko esitys.
Now, together with Kaisa Kukkonen from MCALT, we did dance movement workshops where we started from Bartitsu. So you use your umbrella or stick or whatever you have with you to defend yourself. Even Sherlock Holmes was using it, for example. I often work with very different media, so this is like really the first time I'm nearly doing a project with sewing or design related. I often come up with an idea first, or I do research, and then I choose the medium that seems most appropriate for it. I chose to work with objects because I was interested in how you could use strategies from the past in the present to change the future. In the 1920s, a lot of artists were who worked on the boundary between art and life. For example, Sonia Delaunay was making car designs, or there was Soviet propaganda porcelain. So I really like the idea of manufacturing something, and ideally it would be like mass-produced and enter society. We're not that far with the project, but that inspired me.
Меня зовут Наталья. Я из Санкт-Петербурга. Приехала вместе со своим мужем в Хельсинки делать проект.
My name is Anton, Polskiy, or Make is my alias. I'm from Moscow. So the Partizaning is a website and collective and a platform and even a movement originally organized in Moscow. We call ourselves participatory urban replanners. Like put something like under the question or create some infrastructure or maybe just organize a situation then people can kind of meet. We came here to do the research, to make a newspaper and to organize event.
Мы решили собрать истории жителей Маунулы, узнать ее со всех сторон.
I think two main topics we worked with: marginalization, alcoholism. That's one topic, and the second topic is, let's say, gentrification. We read on the forums and articles that this place is well known for the alcoholism and some drunk people in the streets, and we thought of this topic or this situation as a problem. But then when we started to walk around and talk to different people, we realized these people who are drinking, they don't bother them. But then when we actually hang out with people in the streets, and especially in the forest pub, we learned that it's a really interesting and amazing community. and they don't do any harm to like people around. And actually we realized that the biggest problem here is probably loneliness, and it feels like people are like playing games and drinking together just to not to be alone. So it was also one of the tasks is to also to show different sides of Maunula. Yeah, I mean we are just standing next to the Maunula house, which is kind of like a new, beautiful space. But it's also, I mean, it's a nice place for like younger people, and for example, sauna bar maybe it's more for like older people, and maybe this new place is kind of a future of the area, and this the other part is maybe like past, and it would be really nice that those two places and those two layers not gonna kind of compete, they like merge and learn from one from another. So we worked with artists from Aalto University.
И вместе с другими художниками мы сделали очень хорошую газету.
Tämä jää Maunulan Sanomien historia ehkä merkittävämpinä numeroina. Tämän jälkeen meidän maine kääntyy nousuun. Sitten tämä on hyvin erilainen numero. Tässä on haastattu sellaisia ihmisiä, jotka yleensä ei näy Maunulan medioissa, mikä tekee tästä erityisen kiinnostavaa. Sitten tässä oli ulkomaalaisia taiteilijoita ja se on aina kiinnostavaa, mitä nämä saavat juuri Maunulasta irti.
You know, there is a big story about this Maunula mommy. So this cartoon is, this comics is about, you know, like dedicating to him.
Tämä Maunulan muumio oli semmoinen asia, minkä me Maunulasta tiesin ennen tähän projektiin lähtemistä. Tämän henkilön 6-vuotinen yksinolo menehtyneenä siellä asunnossa sai miettimään just tätä yksinäisyyden kautta tätä projektia. Kirjoitin artikkelin tuohon, tai ehkä niin enemmänkin kolumnin tähän lehteen yksinäisyydestä.
We went kind of undercover, like agents in the forest. Yes, in Metsabari. It was really pleasant. These people were very open. It was really touching, the whole experience.
We were talking about like people from Maunula. How can you work with this very multicultural community? I just decided to use this example, which is called Hellux, which is this website who takes pictures from people who wears like really extraordinary, extravagant clothing. Okay, I'm not like searching for people wearing like really exquisite, extravagant clothing. I'm just searching for what can be like representative of this particular community.
You know, they're talking about the problems in Maunula, but where is the problem? It looks like such a fantastic place. I mean, you know, who can have a problem over here? So just also trying to understand through people.
So we made a survey form. One of the answers that we got, what is your most memorable experience in Maunula? And this one person answered eye contact with a hare. And that speaks a lot about perhaps a sense of being with yourself in a space, because I don't think if two people are talking you will actually make an eye contact. You really have to kind of be in your space, and then maybe you can form some eye contact with a hare.
In Maunula there are like many ways how to like be with other people. Also there are like new trends and new things happening, and it feels like people who are older and maybe like spend most of their life here they feel a little bit afraid of like changes, and because maybe like people die and like all the traditions, and this, it's not about changing something but like saving something that already exists, and maybe focusing on something that already exists but people don't like really value these things, to highlight that's something really like important.
I'm an activist mainly, an artist. I'm from Iran.
I'm a visual artist, currently in a multicultural center as a community artist. So in the work I try to solve the dilemma of segregation of migrants, bring these two people together, two newcomers and the local, so to say, and kind of create different kind of platforms for these meetings and co-creating.
For me, it's important to talk about social issues, migration being one of them, and segregation of migration is one of the concepts that we clicked over. I usually use non-conventional forms so people can play, be free, or how they interact with the art piece or artwork itself.
Firstly, we wanted to connect with the people living in Auramo, the reception center. Well, Maunula is so famous on the democracy projects. We were thinking how to connect this with the people living in the camps. Would they get something out of it? But it seemed to be a too large topic on the time frame we had.
When we decided to have a workshop, I thought maybe because there is also a festival, retro festival going on, we can bring food to the table, but from the past, from the memory of the past. The name is Breakfast from the Past.
We were encouraging people to take over different mediums as video, sound, different haptic mediums, smells, touch, these sort of things, and yeah, just trying out what they could create with that.
It was very important for us to be very inclusive and have people with different backgrounds in the workshop. But when we started talking about breakfast with Johanna and them, different types of breakfast, different rituals around breakfast, they realized that this is something new for the audience who did not live in Afghanistan. That was the moment they took the agency of producing their own art piece without us really guiding them. Okay, one of the participants, Mohammed, is or was a construction worker in Afghanistan and Iran. He never engaged in something artistic. It was a very important thing for him to realize that there are other things besides paintings or calligraphy or sculpture that can be considered art. Also the fact that he understood he can be involved working with others. And Saifi is an artisan. He became interested to use video, to use objects for installation. And the most important part for him was when we talked about smell, the sense of a smell, and we can use that. Then it really triggered him and asked me if I can find him some books in Farsi that he can read about contemporary art.
Riitta, she is an active member of the community here in Maunula, and she told a very wonderful, intimate story from her past, from the 60s when she was still a child. The children came to the table, and father as well, for a special porridge, which reminded of velvet, and I guess the name was something like velvet porridge as well, which was a very kind of simple food during the time, and this was the common moment for all the family before rushing to work and school. I think this was then quite different scenery for like compared to Sanna's work, where she is reliving the memories from the summer cottage, where all the kids or the cousins and siblings were kind of able to pick up their favorite porridge for the morning. Before coming here, I was thinking this is now the most non-political art project we've been involved for a long time, and especially personally. But then, of course, the pieces tell much about different classes, social maybe standards. Even Sanna's piece, the beginning of 90s, like childhood's wealthiness and the possibility to choose between almost everything, and then thinking back to the 60s for these very simplistic foods people had before going to work. Through this very sensory approach, I think the pieces come very close and intimate, and you kind of distance yourselves easily from the kind of socio-political context.
It depends how you define political, but I really enjoyed the process of working with different people with different background, different approaches to art, different expectations and experiences. It was challenging in a very good way for me, because I would come to the workshop and I would think that, okay, I will help Mohammed or Saifi in this way or that way, but they would school me. They will show me that they can think in ways that I have never thought before. It was fantastic.